Very wonderful morning to you out there. Today is the 17th day of the month of May, the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to the Afia Sports Show, Afia Home of Sports on Afia TV. Of course, the frequencies remain the same all the time, every single week. Channel 254 on DSTV, Channel 17 on GoTV, and Channel 748 on Free TV. Welcome to the show. It's nice to have you guys here. We have a lined up package for you today. Wonderful news of sports all around the metro and, of course, outside of the country. And it's stinkingly loaded. Seriously loaded. I almost said stinkingly loaded. Nothing stinky about that, but seriously loaded. Welcome to the show. I remain your key host, CC Emechebe, also known as CC the Rabbi. And as usual, I'm not doing this alone. We have here the usual culprits, the usual suspects, whatever you want to call them. Our co-host, Emeka Madoke, the priest of football, and every other thing in between.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to have you, Emeka.
It's good to be here.
And then, of course, we have the divinator himself, Divine Onka,
Sir?
the man that shall not live by bread alone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
It's really great to be here,
I've missed you guys.
Yeah, no, we've missed each other. I mean, it's all about missing. But, nobody is missing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And, we're glad to have everybody from around the world who are watching us there on our different platforms, especially TV. And we are pleased and privileged to be in your home, right in your face, giving you all that sports has to offer today. Now, we have, like I said, we have a lineup package today. We are going to be looking at some different things from the home front. Naturally, charity begins at home. We'll start with the NPFL, but our major focus is not the NPFL's fixtures, because this weekend we're just having lower league. So the football pyramid in Nigeria has different divisions there, the NNL, and then of course the non-professional leagues there, the different divisions that are down there. So the NPFL has a break this weekend, which is why the upper weekend will have the final match day 38 of the NPFL. But the week being moved to next week, that's final match day being moved notwithstanding, we are still really interested in what's happening in the relegation zone. There are teams that are meant to go down. Now, of course, for those of you who are still living under a rock, who have not been following what's been happening in the NPFL, two teams have been relegated from the NPFL, that's the Nigerian Premier Football League. And those teams are Lobi Stars, the basement boys themselves, and Sunshine Stars. They were beating Black and Blue and they saw Stars. That's why they're Stars. So they're down to the NNL. And then we have another dogfight that's going on there. We have some teams that are going to make up the last two slots. 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Four teams, always, season in, season out, go to the NNL, and then they try to bounce back. So that's the way it's done. So we're going to be focusing on that first of all. What's the issue? If you look at the table there, you can see in the relegation zone, just like we said, you have Lobi Stars who have been relegated a long time ago. You don't have that kind of mess in Lobi Stars, and they'll have a managerial merry-go-round going there, like 6 managers, if my memory serves me right, this season alone, and they're down, rightly so. Then Sunshine Stars also were relegated. Very dismal performance indeed, the Akure-based club. And then Aqua United and Heartland are, as we speak, with one match day to go in the relegation zone. So if they do not better the results, as it stands right now, look at the points. If they do not better the results of El Kanemi Warriors, Katsina United, Niger Tornadoes, even Bayelsa United, even up to Kwara United, it just tells you that there is a big chance that Heartland may have just come into the league this season, or somebody will say bought their way into the league this season, and then just say no, answer present and go back down. But let's talk about the dynamics of this right now, considering the number of points that they have at their disposal. If you look very well, you see that Heartland have 45 points, which means they can only get a maximum of 48 points if they win their last match day. And then Aqua United have 44 points, which means they have a maximum of 47 points. Now, unfortunately, Katsina United have the 47 points, and that means if they win their last game, they're out of the relegation zone. Niger Tornadoes, likewise, share the same number of points with Heartland. So it tells you Heartland. So it tells you that the only clubs as we speak that are safe are from 13th upwards. From Bayelsa United, who have 49 points, no team in the relegation zone can get 49 points. So you're looking at the fact that some teams here, the only teams that can be dragged into the relegation quagmire are
Actually, Casino and Alkinelli are the only teams that can be dragged in mathematically. Because if you look at the table there, Nigeria Tornadoes on 48. Even if Heartland FC get to 48 points, goal difference will still be a deciding factor.
which is another factor we're looking at, because I have to mention, I deliberately left it out. If you look at Niger Tornadoes have scored 37 goals rather, and considered 44 goals, which means they have a -7 goal difference. They have 48 points. Now, Heartland have 45 points, and they have scored 31 goals and considered 33 goals. So they have a -2 goal difference, which means if Heartland win their game in hand, rather the last game, if Heartland win their game by even half nil, okay, let's just say 1-0. They win, that'll be that's 3 points. Yeah. That'll be a -1 goal difference. -1. Now, let's assume Niger Tornadoes lose by even half nil. Okay, 1-0, let's say 1-0. They lose by 1-0, that means they will have a -6 goal difference. So -2 goal difference with 48 points will always trump -6 goal difference with 48 points. So that's why I said Niger Tornadoes are not safe. So it's really very, very dynamic as you speak. I don't know, what are your thoughts concluding regarding this?
These are my thoughts, and I'm just going to jump straight into the predictions for how it's going to end. I believe, in as much as many people will criticize how they got back into the league, I do see them staying on. I do see Heartland getting that 3 points at the end of the day in the final match week. I do see Niger Tornadoes staying up as well. I see Bender Insurance dropping into the relegation zone. That's for me.
I'm just going to focus just on Heartland. I don't want to mention, and it's actually sad that they are actually in relegation zone, because at a point this season they were actually kind of doing well. I think there was a time they were even on the top 10, on the top half of the table. Emmanuel Lamunike was doing a good job then, so maybe I'm assuming that they lost their mojo coming towards the end of the season at the critical. The end of the season is always seen as the critical stage of the season. It's always seen as that. So I don't really know what happened, that they dropped form, they lost their mojo, and they found themselves around, or should I say inside the relegation water, but not deep inside the relegation water.
Just hanging at the top.
Yeah, I think I just pray, I hope that they stay up, because I actually want to see more of them next season in the NPFL.
Okay, just to round off this matter, since the major focus is just Heartland, let's see. And Heartland's issue right now is to better the result of Niger Tornadoes. That's the discussion now. Yeah. So Heartland's, this is because of time. Heartland and Niger Tornadoes, why it's looking very, very interesting is that both teams have home fixtures in the last game. Heartland are going to be hosting Aqua United. That's the southern derby. The southeast meets south. Yeah. But Heartland have home advantage. Then Niger Tornadoes are going to be facing Kano Pillars. That is a northwest derby. So Niger Tornadoes are home against Sugida. You don't know how that's going to pan out. You don't know if Sugida are even going to maybe do Niger Tornadoes a favor as their fellow northern side. I don't know. This is not an allegation or anything, but just this is how it happens in football sometimes. So Sugida, really, in all honesty, from my own observation, Sugida are a tougher prospect anywhere, home or away.
Yeah, exactly.
So facing Niger Tornadoes, I feel that Niger Tornadoes will have a tougher one playing against them. But the only challenge there from a Heartland perspective is that, like I said, Niger Tornadoes just need to better the results of Heartland, which means all Niger Tornadoes need to do is get a home draw. And they are free from the relegation zone. That's it. So that's the issue. So Heartland must win their game and hope for the best. Well, we're hoping for the best anyway. So I would not like to be a Heartland stakeholder or player or anything at this point right now. All we can say is, wish you all the best. Soak your chaplet in holy water, and let's see how it pans out. And because Remo Stars have already been crowned the champions of the league, and you can't compete for the league until, of course, you're in the league. So by next season, let's see if Heartland can survive in the NPFL. And just like we said, Remo Stars are the champions of the league. It's already a known fact that they have been crowned champions. And Remo Stars are in Ogun State. Ogun State happens to be the state that is hosting the National Sports Festival, which kicked off yesterday. National Sports Festival, where it's a biennial event that happens every 2 years normally. The National Sports Festival, Gateway Games, that's what they call it there, from the May the 16th to the 30th, which means it started yesterday. Arrivals have been going on there, different contingents from different parts of the country. Yeah, different parts of the country have been coming. I think the Enugu contingent are already on their way because I think they left by road. Most of them, they left by road. So they are on their way as we speak. And we wish them all the best and journey mercies to them. So the Gateway Games in Ogu 2024 with venues like Remo and Bokuta, who's the captain of Ogun State, Ikene, and then even Shagamu. These are different centers that are going to host the Gateway Games. So it's really, this is basically the Nigerian Olympics. It's like a microcosm of the Olympic Games. And many of the greatest stars and athletes that Nigeria has ever seen came from these games. The reason the Nigerian National Sports Festival was established in the first place in 1973 was to foster unity, foster cross-cultural bonds, because it happened 3 years after the end of the Civil War. So no victor, no vanquished, but there was a lot of bad blood between the parties that fought in the Civil War. So it was a way to foster national unity and to remind everybody that they're part of the country, part of the nation. So that's why the National Sports Festival 52 years ago started, and this is the 22nd edition that's happening right now. So it is a good thing to know. We know that one of the brand ambassadors of the National Sports Festival is an indigene of Ogun State. Ogun State's favorite daughter, Toby Amuson, the world record holder in 100 meters hurdles for women. And, I don't know. What are your thoughts regarding this National Sports Festival? The hype has been so great. The hype has been wonderful. And we're watching to see. And since we are here in Enugu, 042, we know that the contingents are being treated better than the last time around. And because His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Vice Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, has shown that he's serious about development in every area. And sports is part of that. So the monies that are meant to be given to the athletes, the monies for logistics, for allowances, it's all being made available based on the reports that I'm getting. And it shows that there is a chance that with these incentives that are put in place, that Enugu might just have a major target. They might have to do something much better than the past, because another thing we have to consider is that Enugu State is going to be hosting the next edition, which is next year. So I don't know. What are your thoughts regarding the National Sports Festival?
It's a wonderful initiative. It's always good to see organized tournaments like this, so that you can get the best of the best athletes around town, around the nation, worldwide.
Nationwide, basically.
Yeah, you need to get best of talents from every state, get from every locality. You know which athletes belong in which sports. You know who is the best of who is not being discovered. You can promote some of these people to the national teams to represent them in the country outside. You can get maybe some local people who do these sports but have not been recognized. They get the chance to go out there, show what they can do, get the opportunity maybe to get called up to the national team and go represent the country in foreign Olympics and all that. This brings a way of scouting those individuals from within our country, not always going to go and look for talents outside to represent the country. Because I know countries do that. They find talents from around other countries to represent them in some of this. But it's good to start from home first. You get the talents from home, then you brush them up and take them to the sport stage.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's a known fact that Nigerian, what you alluded to, it's a known fact that Nigerian athletes, now this is not just football, sportsmen generally are amongst the most talented in the world. Just give them the equipment, give them the infrastructure that they need, and they'll perform wonders. So, I mean, getting to this, there are two things I want to put you on the spot from two angles right now. First of all, Divine, this National Sports Festival will have a number of traditional games that are known to Nigeria. Like you have, I forgot what they call it in Igbo, but Ayo. There's this game called Ayo. I know Ayo game very well. You have the seeds, thrown to the holes, and wonderful. Yeah. And then there's traditional wrestling that will be going on there. Dambe, I think. Dambo, yes, it's going to be going on there. Traditional wrestling and different kinds of wonderful games that are going to make the practitioners proud that they are being given the limelight. Now, I know this is too far. It's too much of an ask right now, considering the fact that the Olympic Games will be coming up next. Next part of the next Olympic Games will be coming up in 2028. You know, this last Olympics that just ended, breakdancing, for instance, was part of the Olympic Games. I mean, if you had told me 20 years ago that breakdancing was part of the Olympic Games, I'll probably pursue with a whistling pine. What is breakdancing in the Olympics? Well, you know, inclusion, fostering inclusion. So, two things right now. First of all, is there a chance that some of these are traditional games may gain the recognition that they deserve? That's number one. Number two, from an Enugu perspective, because Enugu State, like we said, is going to be hosting the next edition of the National Sports Festival. For you to have a very successful National Sports Festival, you need to have all the facilities in place. The only stadium that we have here in Enugu that is at least top class, maybe not world class yet. We don't have an artificial turf, and then the facilities there need some upgrading. And we know that His Excellency the Governor is doing something about that, but it has to be done very quick. A lot of upgrading is going on right now. But we're looking at facilities. You're looking at an Olympic size, Olympic standard swimming pool, for instance, one or two or more. We're looking at things like, let's even get cut to the chase, a games village. Like in Lagos State, there's a games village that's there. Yes, it was sold off. I don't even want to talk about that. Last time I went to the games village in Lagos was in 1999. And I don't know what the place is like now, but there was a games village. Every state that is serious about sports development should have a games village. And it's going to do a lot of good when it comes to helping to develop the stars. It's going to solve a lot of problems. Like the athletes who are professional athletes, most of them are going to live in the games village, so accommodation should not be an issue for them. Many of the things they are looking for will be there. So I don't know. Since we have an openly mobile government in His Excellency, Barrister Peter, do you think he and his team will be taking notes, watching these games, and then seeing where they need to make improvements? What's your take? Do you see that happen? If not, what will be blinding their eyes to this development?
For the fact that you already mentioned earlier that he has placed his eyes on a lot of things in the state, and sports happens to be one of them, then if that is true, if that is a fact, then of course he will be placing his eyes on, should I say, the lapses that needs to be covered, the loopholes that needs to be corrected. So definitely he's doing that since it's all sports and it's part of it. And then you also talked about, do I think if some of these cultural, the only thing is, there's a popular saying that goes like this: anything worth doing is worth doing well. So if it is done well, if the game is well organized, because what attracts people to anything you do, whether sports-wise or financial, any aspect of what you do, what attracts people is the passion and the organization of what you do. That is what attracts other eyes into that thing you do. That's what attracts interest, whether from local or from the international aspect. Once that thing is well organized, so if the downward gate, if the aisle gate is well organized, if it's well put together, if it is top-notch, then there is no doubt that even if they don't agree to put it into the Olympics yet, but they will have, they will have a bit of consideration of putting it into the Olympics. So it's all about how well it's done, how well it's organized.
Okay, basically, maximizing your platform.
Exactly.
That's the summary of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's wonderful. So we will go on a very, very quick break. But before we do that, bad news, I think. Well, news, not just good news, bad news. The Flying Eagles, actually, on the 20 team for Nigeria, the 7-time champions of the AFCON on the 20, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, crashed out recently at the hands of Amapiano rivals, South Africa.
So
1-0. Very, very sad. But at least the good thing about that, the ongoing on the 20 AFCON in Egypt going on there, they lost to South Africa 1-0. And it's quite unfortunate. Yeah, they put up a good show. I had my own issues with their performance, and I think rightly so. But at least the silver lining in this is that Nigeria qualified by virtue of being semi-finalists. They qualified for the World Cup that will take place. Later this year, the Under-20 World Cup, and then the third place match between Nigeria and the host Egypt is going to take place tomorrow, being Sunday, 18th of May, by 6 p.m. local time. So Nigeria will have an opportunity to slug it out with the host for a medal at least. Not the right color we're looking for, but I mean, when the desirable is not available, the available becomes desirable. And then the hot favorites for the tournament, Morocco, will be clashing with Bafana. Well, what do you call them? Baf, just call them Baf. No, I'm just joking. Oh, please, just start Africa. But I know you're not the boys, but we call you the little boys, or whatever. The point is that's going to happen. So we wish Nigeria all the best. We wish the best team all the best in the tournament. And let's just see how it goes.
Because at the beginning of the tournament, we did predict Nigeria versus Morocco, and they were just one way away from that final. But oh well.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, no, man proposal God disposes. And then we want to dispose of some of those thoughts we have for now as we move to the next level. And of course, that will be after this quick break. Don't touch that down, stick around. We're still on Afia Sports, the home of sports. Welcome back to the Afia Sports Show on Afia TV, Afia Lifetime. What did I say? Afia TV. Yeah, no, of course, our radio station, our sister station, so naturally 99.3. But the focus is Afia TV. The channels remain the same on DSTV, channel 254, channel 17 on GoTV, and then, of course, channel 748 on Free TV. This is Afia TV, home of sports. And we're discussing sport. We've talked about the home issues right now. We discussed the NPFL briefly regarding the relegation dogfight, and then we discussed the National Sports Festival that kicked off yesterday in Ogun State, and then of course we talked about the Under-20 AFCON Under-20 tournament that's going on right now in Egypt, and the Flying Eagles of Nigeria crashing out at the hands of their South African counterparts. But now we're in Europe. And we're going to be discussing things happening in Europe. The English Premier League is on its last legs. Penultimate games of the season took place yesterday, and some of them took place today. And we're going to have the FA Cup today too. And then other things in Europe will be going down. But we're not doing this alone. Still, we have Rebecca Manuka, the piece of football here. I'm still discussing things concerning sports. We still have the divinator. He hasn't divined himself away from here. And then while we were talking, we went on this short break, we had our guest come back here, a member of the house, not a guest. No, it's neither a guest nor a host. So he's a ghost. So I'm joking, actually. So we have the blessed Zik himself. He's here. Yeah. Welcome back, Zik.
He came back. He did it.
Yeah. Yes. He wasn't the Kasongo thing. He came here. All right. So down to the EPL, the English Premier League action is ongoing and it's been happening. Yesterday we had only two games of varying levels of significance. The race for Europe was involved,
especially the champions.
We had Aston Villa against Tottenham Hotspur, and that was 2-0 in favor of Aston Villa. Unai Emery channeled his former gunner in him to defeat Tottenham Hotspur for the first time in quite a long time, because Aston Villa have been Tottenham Hotspur's friends. Let's put it that way. Very well. So they lost to Tottenham Hotspur 2-0, goal scored by Ejikonsa and Kamara. Then
I say the biggest club in England beating Manchester United.
Did you say biggest club in England?
Yes. Pedigree wise.
Please ignore him, please. Ignore him. Pedigree wise in what sense? Don't embarrass yourself.
European pedigree.
No, don't embarrass yourself. How is it the biggest club in England? Okay, you want to take your national global television.
No,
that's okay.
Let's shut it down.
No, we're not shutting it down. Since you mentioned that, let's do this now. You have to do this yourself. Chelsea Football Club has won 2 Champions League titles.
So Europa League.
2 Europa League titles.
Potentially going to win.
Let's leave potential out of the way. Now, Manchester United alone have won 3 European Cups, that's Champions League, and they've won 5 UEFA Cup / Europa League trophies. That's 8 in total.
believe I said
Now, Liverpool. Oh, hold on. You said in England.
I said London.
You
said
brought
England.
this up
England
for
was
yourself.
I'm not helping you out.
Now, no, nobody's helping you.
I clearly
I
said
heard
London.
England. I heard England.
Clearly said you wanted
I
to hear
heard England.
I said London. You said
I'm responding to what I heard. I heard
wow.
England. And then Liverpool Football Club are the kings in that respect. They won
my
6
God, you
European
indicate me
Cups.
that I said London. That
Six
means I'm talking
European-
about
ignore
Arsenal,
him.
Tottenham, Chelsea,
6
Crystal
European
Palace.
Cups. That is Champions League and then the former predecessor.
Let's take a break
Champions
where
League.
they do this thing.
There was no break. I wanted to put him in his place. But let's leave that. So the bottom line is this. I don't want to patronize anybody here. Chelsea Football Club, thanks to Marco Torreira in the 71st minute, beat Manchester United. And what was even a shock for me was the fact that Chelsea needed this game more than Man United. Man United were just playing for pride, but they didn't need it because it's not going to change anything at all. Manchester United are on course to finish their worst season ever in the Premier League. They are currently 16 on the log in the Premier League with 39 points. For context, I know there's one game to go. For context, West Ham United have been relegated before from the Premier League with 42 points. That's for context. Man U are fortunate that Southampton, Leicester City, and Ipswich have been useless. So that's their luck. That's really their luck so far. Domestically, in Europe, it's a different kettle of fish. Let's give them credit for that, give them flowers. But Man U played a game they didn't have to win, but pride was compelling them. They played against Chelsea away from home. Chelsea were playing a game they had to win because Chelsea know that even the Mickey Mouse Club Cup in Europe that they are planning to win against Real Betis. That is the conflict. I said conflict league. Sorry, the Conference League, UEFA Conference League.
I mean, it's
not going. What is going to give them? I said, "You not go collect today." See, it's going to give them now what the Conference League, the third tier of European football, gives for the winners anyway, is an automatic berth into a higher European title, which is competition, which is the Europa League, second tier of Europa League. Now, Chelsea have an opportunity, if they play their cards right, to finish in the Champions League slot. And the fact that England have 5 slots helps matters for them. And they're currently in the Champions League places as we speak. So in 4th place right now, that's where Chelsea are. So they need to better the results of everyone around them to secure Champions League. So that means they're not even going to leverage, should they win the the Conference League, they're not in Europa League. So should they win the Conference League, they won't even have to leverage on the gains of the Conference League apart from the financial gains. That's the significance of that. That was why this game they played against their bitter rivals, Man U, was a very important game to win. They needed to win that. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't satisfied with the scores, the result. In the first half, we saw a belter, an absolute belter from Cole Palmer, and then that was saved by he hit the bar. I think he hit the bar, yeah. And then the rebound was fluffed totally by Enzo Fernandez, but luckily was offside because he would have been embarrassed. Then you could see different kinds of attempts that were made there, but Man United ended up losing a game that they didn't even need to win. So really, when you check that, it's very clear. The math is there on the board for all to see. You can see there that Arsenal Football Club, Liverpool are not in this discussion, so just leave them out of it. They've won the Premier League.
Arsenal have a 99.8% chance of finishing second or in the top 4. Mm-hmm. Newcastle have a 92.6% chance of finishing in the top 4. Chelsea have a 60.0 chance of finishing in the top 4. Aston Villa have a 49.1 chance of finishing in the top 4. Giving it to Man City, the champions of last season, have an 87.3% chance of making it into the top 4 or top 5. And the last on the run-ins there, it is Nottingham Forest with an 11.3%.
That's one of the negatives of being in Liverpool Forest. So that's the top 5 in the English Premier League so far. And the top 5, if it ends this way, we're looking at the teams that are going to qualify straight for the UEFA Champions League next season, which is why they had to do that. You can't even see any cookies to find Man U at the moment. So Man U didn't need to win that game. But let's put Zeke on the spot because of time. Now, Zeke, yesterday, 2 very, very Inconsequential games in many respects. Aston Villa against Tottenham Hotspur, who by the way have lost 21 league games out of 37. Manchester United have lost 18 league games out of 37. The worst season ever, not just in recent years, ever in the Premier League. But the fact that both sides, that's Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, who are 16 and 17 respectively, with 39 and 38 points, which means you combine their points right now. Their combined points is 77. Liverpool alone have 6 points more than their combined points. That tells you everything. Yet, we'll get to that bridge when we come. Yet, one of these teams will go to the Champions League. Isn't that a travesty in football?
Oh, you want me to?
Yes, I want you, please. Let them wear their Kevlar, let them wear their bulletproof vest, whatever. Please hit.
Whatever shots you want.
Fire shots.
I don't think there is much left to be said about this particular issue of Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. The both squads have been woefully inadequate with the standards that they have been putting up this season. Because, like you said yourself, they are lucky that the bottom three teams have been confirmed out of depth. So
you have to find the euphemism.
They have been out of depth with the standards of the Premier League. But it's still a beautiful thing that they also have an opportunity to secure European football, the best European football, which is the Champions League, by winning the final. But only one of them can get it. It's a horrible season for United. I know the fans are right now hurting and it will be a little glimmer of hope, something to take home out of this atrocious season for United. For Tottenham Hotspur, with one defeat, it's just like a relegation team. That's the start from the relegation side. But like I said, they are lucky that the bottom three teams are
already confirmed.
I just want to do this quickly, sorry.
Quickly, because I need to get to this. This is a very, very important
I always have to show this because it's very important.
Go ahead, please.
They are in the worst seasons of their lives, both teams. Who gets it for you in the European final? Is it going to be Man United? I just have to do this.
It's not your time, but say it now. We'll still get back to this.
I just want to get your thoughts.
Because it's the Europa League.
We'll come back to this.
The Europa League, by the way, is exactly a week from today. So we will discuss that in depth on next show. But just go ahead.
For me, I think it's a coin toss. It's both sides of it.
You can land on anyone.
You can land on anyone. Thank you. But this is in Tottenham have already dispatched United, both in the Carling Cup. I think that was in the quarterfinals that they knocked out United, and also at Old Trafford they won 3-0. So you
also
can say
still winning all three matches.
So you can say form.
Okay. Before I forget, please, just for the sake, not really a disclaimer also, but I want to make a correction, a slight correction. We saw the top five there, and Man City were placed there. Actually, it's wrong. Well, those assets were put there before the game last time. Aston Villa in fifth, Man City at sixth as we speak. So it's still open. Now, this is what I want to ask. Now, I'll throw it open to you. Please, in seconds, let's do it very, very quickly. Yeah, you can see the Man City at sixth, yes, and then Tottenham, Nottingham Forest. Oh, yes, the assets are very correct. Please, pardon me. I was just looking at some other things there. Now, the issue is this. If you look at the league table, you find out that Chelsea, now let's assume the worst for Chelsea. Just assume the worst for Chelsea. That the last game of the season, I'll verify that they lose the last game of the season. Let's assume the worst. They lose the last game of the season. And then Aston Villa and Man City, who have 66 points and 65 points respectively, win their last games and then push Chelsea to sixth. Let's just assume that happens. And then Manchester United lose their last game of the season, whoever I'll verify, to Aston Villa. They lose to Villa and they remain with the 39 points, which means Man United may finish in 17, just above the relegation zone, or at most 16, with Chelsea finishing at most 6th. Now, won't it be a travesty? Won't it be very, very disappointing if Chelsea have to suffer at the hands of Man United back to back, even having finished above them? Last season, Chelsea finished 6th, and Man United finished 8th. Chelsea were occupying a Europa League place, but because Man U won the FA Cup, Man U that were in the conflict zone. They were having breakfast there. He said they were having breakfast with conflict, and then they served Chelsea with the cereal. And then Chelsea found themselves in the Conference League right now. Now, Chelsea, once that will happen, Chelsea finish in the Europa League spot, which they'll get anyway if they win the Conference League. But Manchester United finish, let's say, 17th, and then they win the Europa League and get to the Champions League. There's something I wanted to say right now about our television. I can't say it. Won't it look very, very horrible? Chelsea fans. Chelsea fans. I mean, back to back.
Chelsea is already under pressure because of the amount of financial outlay that they already dropped for the past 2 years under this new ownership of Bolian and Eggers. I believe that the minimum requirement that Enzo Maresca was given this season was top 4. That was the minimum. He personally, he's a newbie in the coaching world, Premier League, the elite side of it. So he's trying to pick up the Conference League, for his own personal achievement. But the minimum requirement for him is the top 4. And if he doesn't finish in the top 4, I don't think he will be proud of himself. I don't think the owners will be proud of him, and I don't think the fans.
Now, the next question is, do you see Chelsea finishing?
Top 5. Let's not forget this.
Top 5, but I mean, the requirement was for champions.
The requirement was top 4. Quite alright. But when we talk about the top 4, the truth of the matter is before the league started, the season started, in fairness to the Chelsea management, before the league started, it was already an established fact for many years, decades, that the top 4 guarantees you Champions League football. But the 5th team came in. So whenever you hear top 4, you're talking about Champions League qualification.
Exactly.
So 5th, Chelsea finishing 5th. I don't think it's going to fall short of the expectation.
The main requirement, like I said, is Champions League. That was his minimum requirement, because Pochettino had a successful end of a season, like you said, got the Europa League after having confusing tactics. They not finding the best team, but they ended the season well last season. But for Enzo Maresca, with what he did with Leicester, the step up, he started well, trying to downplay it when they were talking about title race in November, December. I think it was a mistake for him to say that. He made the standards drop a little bit. And with young players, you always have to hit the nail on the head. So for me, I still believe they can get the top 5. They're already there. It just needs 90 minutes of concentration against whoever they're going.
Okay, so mind games are not for everybody. So let's just go through the fixtures. Because we're talking about, we think the world revolves around Chelsea and Man United and Tottenham Hotspur. It doesn't. The other EPL fixtures today, we have Everton against Southampton. Now, these games are going to take place tomorrow. There will be no Premier League games today because the big game today will be the FA Cup. We'll get to that in a jiffy very, very quickly before we go for the next break. Tomorrow, we're going to have Everton hosting Southampton, relegated Southampton. Remember that. West Ham United will be hosting Nottingham Forest tomorrow. Also, Leicester City will be hosting. Actually, it's a relegation party between both of them. Leicester against Ipswich. Then Brentford will be hosting Fulham, and then that's a London derby, Southwest London derby actually. And then Arsenal will be hosting Newcastle United. That's the biggest game of the weekend so far. And then Brighton and Hove Albion on Monday, I beg your pardon, 19th. We're hosting Liverpool. Manchester City. Okay, let's leave that. Although, let's just say Manchester City will be hosting Bournemouth on the 20th. That's on Tuesday because they need some time to space. Then Crystal Palace themselves because they need some space to celebrate the FA Cup and then themselves if they win. Assuming both of them win. Yes, against Wolves. So that's that. So really, it's going to be a big one for them. And speaking of these two sides that have to rest and have adequate rest for 3 days before their fixtures, they will be having the FA Cup game, the oldest cup competition today by 4:30 p.m. Manchester City up against Crystal Palace, who will be trying to do what Newcastle United did, win the first title in decades. And it's going to be a very, very tough ask there. You're looking at these teams there. Something's got to give. Who's going to come out tops in that game? The FA Cup. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City against Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace. So like last night, let's not forget, also has European pedigree. He's won the Europa League. He did that with Eintracht Frankfurt. But Pep Guardiola has more pedigree there. But we're talking about home front now. The English FA Cup. Something's got to give. Quick predictions. That's all. Let's talk about predictions before we go for a short break. Predictions.
I'll be bold. Give it to Crystal Palace. So 1-0 each.
I'm really bold. You have a brass pair. Okay. Yours. City. Okay.
City to win 2-0.
I think, Alaka, you're
I stand alone, no problem.
You walk
I'll walk this lonely road.
I don't know.
The way to heaven is narrow. I mean, I'll walk it alone.
Pep Guardiola was in the final last time, and he lost that fight. His last final, he lost. He's not losing another final to anyone, especially if it's English opposition. And that's the FA Cup. He lost to Man United last time. It's not happening this time. And you can take that to the bank. And talking of the bank, let's just chill and wait. When we come back from the break, we'll discuss other very, very pressing issues. Don Carlo Ancelotti is moving to sunny South America, to the Samba Boys region, amongst other things. Stick around, find out what we're talking about when Ancelotti comes into the picture after this break. Welcome back to the Afia Sports Show, Afia Home of Sports on Afia TV. Of course, the frequencies remain the same. We're always here. And this is the tail end of the show. And while we are moving to the other aspect of the other parts, last stories here, we have somebody who is itching to gloat and itching to, even though recently considered a hat-trick in the game that he lost, but itching to gloat. I'm referring to the champions of Spain, sunny Spain, Barcelona Football Club. Please, could you pan to somebody who's suffering for youthful exuberance from my side, trying to show, yes, while we see this, Hansi Flick has won a second title. Actually, the first title he won was with Bayern Munich. Yes, you can see this juvenile delinquent by my side. He's celebrating Blaugrana. Yeah, congrats to Barcelona. Hansi Flick and his boys did a very, very good job. Against all business expectations, they've been wonderful. Yes, they came short of what they really wanted. They wanted a treble, but all the same, Barcelona Football Club have done something very, very fantastic. They won it, and the fact that they won Spanish La Liga at the home of their bitter rival, Espanyol. Yes, it was a derby. They did that, and they wrapped up La Liga. So really, congratulations to them, and we hope it lasts long enough because teams, season in, season out, teams build. Real Madrid will rebuild definitely because Ancelotti is moving from there. Then you're talking about, of course, no. I mean, apart from Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone, they want to rebuild and launch an offensive. Never write off Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid. But Real Madrid will do their best to rebuild because Don Carlo Ancelotti is leaving Real Madrid when his contract expires at the end of this season. And then, of course, Xabi Alonso, from all indications, is the favorite to replace him in there, to return. A Madrid legend in his own right. Yes.
By Real Madrid. They want to buy the Bournemouth young star. They want to go back. Xabi Alonso as well is also planning on bringing one of his players from
Bayer Leverkusen. So then we'll talk more about that when we get to that page. Wonderful. So Ancelotti has had a very successful 2 spells with Real Madrid as far as I'm concerned. Winning the Champions League 5 times, Don Carlo Ancelotti winning it 5 times, winning it actually 5 times with Real Madrid, 3 times with Real Madrid, 2 times with AC Milan as a manager, minus the 2 that he won as a player. But he's won everything that there is to win. And now, what bigger opportunity does he have than to go to the Seleção, the Brazilian national side, who have been notorious for being managed by their indigenous managers. Tiche was the former manager before Dorival Jr. became the manager, and they struggled to qualify for the World Cup.
Another one before Dorival.
Tiche, that's what I said. Tiche.
Okay, was it an intermediate?
Yeah, intermediate. Yeah, just wasn't really. But the consubstantial manager was Tiche before Dorival Jr. And then now you have Ancelotti. Ancelotti is the third. I think he's the 4th non-indigenous manager in the history of Brazil. Brazil have had, funny enough, they were managed by an Argentinian before. That it shocked me when I read that. Yeah, it's just a very, very big. 2, days, then a Portuguese managed them. That's the last manager to manage them was the Portuguese, I think, yeah. But now they have a European, and if you check it, I think it's a very, very good move because Don Carlo Ancelotti, he carries a lot of weight and presence, and then anytime he's given a new lease of life and then he has a new project that he wants to pursue, usually he does that. He goes and then he starts afresh. That's what he does. And Carlo Ancelotti, the last time Brazil, since they won the World Cup in 2002, they've been knocked out by European sides. So they need somebody who knows European football very well. I think that's a good move. Quick one. Don Carlo Ancelotti, misfit or right fit for Seleção?
Right fit. No other choice.
So this World Cup, we need to look out for Brazil in this World Cup.
I think it all matters how they first of all understand. I don't know. That's why I kept quiet when they asked me. I think they need to understand what he needs from the players. He already has a connection with the Real Madrid players from Vinicius, Rodrigo, and so on. Militao. And now coming to Seleção, it's no longer like Vinicius team or a Neymar team or a Afia team. This is Ancelotti's team. This Brazil. So I think it's going to be a good decision because it's for next year. I think it's a short-term project.
While you hold that thought, so we'll get to that. But we have breaking news. It's official right now. That talking about Carlo Ancelotti moving from Real Madrid. It's now official that Dean Huijsen of Bournemouth has become a Real Madrid player. He's been signed. He's leaving Bournemouth and he's joining Real Madrid. The defender, Dean Huijsen, the one that scored the winning goal against Arsenal in that last game in the Premier League. He is a very, very solid player. 20 years of age, and he's a Spain international. Don't be deceived by the name. Definitely, Euro winner. He won the Euros with Spain. So he's now officially going to be unveiled as a Real Madrid player, which is very important because Madrid have had a very, very poor defense so far this season. So that's the news we wanted to get there. So it's official. Dean Huijsen is leaving Bournemouth and he's in Real Madrid from next season. So your last thoughts right now as we end the show.
About Ancelotti, I kept quiet because we don't really know how much this Brazilian team is. I'm talking about their player qualities and the rest because of late, from the 2022 World Cup up to this moment, following the Copa America and so on, they have not really been, they've not really been impressive as they've always been known for. And so even when the Copa America was going on, I think Ronaldo, De Lima, and Ronaldinho talked about they are not going to follow the Copa America because this Brazilian team lacks kind of the passion to play the game. So for me,
perfect. The perfect way to end the show. So thank you very much for being with us on Afia TV, the home of sports. And then I also use this opportunity to wish a happy birthday to one of our smallest members of the group, Talisha and Choco and his very own wonderful little girl. So it's good to know that today is her birthday. And she's 6 years old today. So really, Talisha, we're looking up to you. You'll grow to be much better than everybody that's around you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Okay, so thank you very much for being with us on Afia TV, the home of sports. And we're going to do this again next week on Saturday the 24th. We'll discuss a lot concerning sports. So, till next time, I'm Sisi the Rabbi.
Now we make a mother Prince of Football. Goodbye.
See you guys.